Today I will show you how to make a Vikings panpipe based on the one found at the Coppergate Dig in York, United Kingdom. The original Vikings panpipe is over 1,000 years old and was made in the 10th century. In the year 866 AD, the Vikings captured York, establishing the Viking community of Jorvik. The last Viking king is expelled in the year 954 AD, and York is fully integrated into England. This Viking history is fascinating and explains why the Vikings panpipe was found in the excavations at York. A drawing of the Vikings panpipe is in the Viking Dig book by Richard Hall. You can see a video of the original panpipe on YouTube, Viking Instruments Video from the Jorvik Viking Center channel. The original Vikings panpipe was made using boxwood. I am using figured hard maple in the dimensions of 3 inches wide by 4 inches long by 3/4 of an inch thick. There's no crying in baseball and no jewelry allowed in woodworking. I am also wearing a dust mask and safety glasses throughout this video. We will be drilling holes in the panpipe on the top 3-inch wide piece of the wood. Measure the top 3-inch wide piece of the wood and mark 2 lines in the center, one on each end. I am drawing a center line and marking the center of this line along the width. We are drilling 5 holes and the center line will mark the 3rd hole. The other 4 holes will be evenly spaced from the center. I am checking to see if the drill hole marked locations look good using the drill bit size I will drill the holes with. I have spaced the drill hole locations 15 centimeters apart. I will drill the holes using 2 different 3/8 inch drill bits. I am checking to make sure the brad point drill bit hits the exact center marked drill hole locations and the wood is aligned at the correct angle against the drill press table fence. I am only drilling the holes 1/4 inch deep with the brad point drill bit. They are great for centering on the drill marking locations, but I do not want the shape of the cut they will leave at the bottom of the drilled holes in the panpipe. This is about panpipe airflow science. The rounded hole the twist drill will cut in the bottom of the drilled holes will be better for the tuning and sound of the panpipe. Blowing across the open tops of the drilled holes creates a vibrating air column where the pitch is determined by the length and diameter of the holes in the panpipe. A smaller hole diameter makes a higher pitch, while a larger diameter makes it sound lower. A shorter length hole creates a higher pitch. The largest single find of Viking Age tools is the Mastermyr chest discovered in Gotland, Sweden. It contained over 200 Viking-era tools for metalworking and woodworking, made primarily of iron and steel. It contained axes, hammers, chisels, files, saw blades, tongs, punches, plate shears, anvils, locks, chains, and spoon-shaped auger hand drills. It dates to the Viking Age of 800 to 1100 AD. I am wearing a dust mask while sanding the top and sides of the panpipe using an 80 grit belt on my Rikon 1" by 30. I am also wearing safety goggles while doing this. Slowly round over the top, back, and sides slightly with 80 grit without sanding too much because we are going to follow up with finer grits later on. Take your time, make sure to get everything straight and even. The Oseberg Viking ship is the most well-preserved Viking ship ever found, and it was built around the year 820 AD. It was found in a large burial mound near Tønsberg, Vestfold, Norway. Viking shipbuilders are considered to be master engineers, craftsmen, and artists. The Vikings definitely had the tools and skills to make the panpipe found at York. I'm taking off the 80 grit belt and installing the 120 grit belt. The amount of round over I want is already established on the panpipe. Sanding with finer grits will remove the scratches from the coarser grits. Sand over all the rounded edges 2 or 3 times. I am removing the 120 grit belt and installing a 150 grit belt. Go over all the rounded over edges only 2 or 3 times. I am removing the 150 grit belt and installing the 240 grit belt. Sand all rounded edges with the 240 grit 2 or 3 times. I am removing the 240 grit belt and installing a 400 grit belt. Sand all around it over edges with the 400 grit 2 or 3 times. Congratulations, we reached the finish line with the belt sander and everything looks really good. I am going to sand the panpipe 100% with 400 grit sandpaper using a sanding block. This will flatten any imperfections and all surfaces will have the same smooth sanded surface. This is looking really good at this point. The Jorvik Viking Panpipe had 5 holes bored at different depths, tuned to A 5-note scale from A, B, C, D, and E. Some makers use drops of melted beeswax into the holes for fine tuning. I could find no information if the original Jorvik Viking Panpipe had wax in the holes to fine tune it. So in this video, I will not use any wax for fine tuning. I will slowly drill the holes to fine tune the 2 panpipes I make in this video. Magnus Magnusson played the original Viking panpipe discovered at Coppergate, York, UK in a video from the NCMH Vision channel. In this video, he said it was tuned to the A major scale, which is A, B, C sharp, D, and E. In this video, I am going to tune the panpipes I make to the A minor scale, which is A, B, C, D, and E. I am going to finish drilling the holes to the desired depth with a twist drill bit. I am making sure the drill bit is aligned with the drilled hole, then I hold it in place with a wood clamp. I am drilling into the right side of the panpipe first on the deepest hole we will drill for the A note. I am only going to drill deep enough to come close to the depth for the E note. Then I will drill the hole on the left side and fine-tune the shallowest hole we will need to drill for the E note. Drill a little deeper hole, remove the wood clamp, clean any wood chips out of the holes by tapping the panpipe upside down, and then blow into the holes to make sure they are cleaned out. Test the note, and we are getting F sharp. F sharp is a shallower hole than E, so we have to drill a deeper hole to tune the panpipe to E. I drilled a deeper hole and I am still getting F sharp. We drilled a deeper hole and we are drifting away from F sharp. Now we are very close to E. We switched to drilling the left side shallowest hole for the E note, but we will not try to drill as deep on the first try as we did on the right side. We are getting close to G on the first try. We drill deeper and get F sharp. You will notice I am hitting the E note when I am blowing softer, which is right where I want it to be. This will make the panpipe easier to play. Now we move back to drilling on the right side, which will be the deepest drilled hole, to drill the second deepest hole, which will be the D note. We hit the D note really fast, so we will drill the second deepest hole on the left side. The D note was easily achieved on the second deepest drilled hole. We drill on the right side deepest hole for the third deepest hole, which will be the C note. On the first try, we get close to C sharp. We re-drill and get C to C sharp. We re-drill again and get the C note. Now we will drill the third deepest hole in the middle for the C note. We are getting D to C sharp, so we have to drill a little deeper. We hit the depth for the C note. We will drill on the right side for the fourth deepest hole, which is the B note. We are still getting the C note, so we must drill deeper. We are getting the B note, so we will drill the fourth deepest hole. We hit the B note on the fourth hole, so we will drill the fifth deepest hole for the A note. Still getting the B note, so we will drill slightly deeper. Now we are getting B flat, so we must drill slightly deeper. Still getting B flat, so I will drill slightly deeper again. Starting to get close to the A note, so I will drill deeper by a very small amount. The A note is in tune. Here's how the panpipe sounds on all 5 notes. Here is the drilled hole depth measurements in inches and centimeters. No wax has been used to fine-tune this panpipe. I am extremely happy how the tuning has turned out on this. Now the tuning is done, we will dye the figured maple black with Phoebing's alcohol-based leather dye. This is generally considered to be a deep penetrating aniline dye. Aniline dye is used in guitar making for its vibrant, transparent color that you see on flame maple guitar tops. I'm using a cheesecloth I bought from Amazon, which was not the quality I am used to, but I did not find this out until I used it. The cheesecloth is supposed to be 100% cotton, but does not soak up the dye like cotton does. This will add to the challenge of getting the results I want. I ended up putting more dye on the wood than I wanted to. However, this dye is fantastic and extremely black, which is exactly what I wanted. I placed the panpipe onto a wooden holder I made to air dry. I started sanding with 400 grit sandpaper to sand the black dye back to where just the figure of the grain is highlighted with black. The dye was applied too heavy and it is quite tough after sanding it for quite a long time. I switched to sanding with Scotch-Brite 7447, which is equivalent to 320 to 400 grit sandpaper, which removed the dye a little quicker. I switched back to sanding with 400 grit sandpaper to keep removing more of the black dye. You can see I have sanded off too much of the black dye trying to get an even dyed look, but we can easily touch it up. I am applying a very small amount of dye to the cheesecloth. Wrap a paper towel around the cheesecloth and squeeze so any excess dye will soak into the paper towel. Now we can apply a very light coat of dye to the wood. Wipe any excess dye off with a paper towel. Now it is looking really good, but I decided to make it a little darker. Same procedure as before. Add a small amount of dye, soak up any excess dye with a paper towel, apply a light coat to the wood, and let it air dry. Now we will sand extremely lightly. I am very happy with how it looks, so we will apply Phoebe's Russet Brown leather dye over the black. I decided to dye inside of the drilled holes with a Q-tip. Apply a small amount of russet dye to the cheesecloth, soak up any excess with a paper towel, and wipe the dye evenly onto the wood. Place the panpipe onto the wooden holder to air dry. Now we will sand the all-black panpipe extremely lightly. It now looks nice and even and reveals the wood figure more on the edges. I decided to dye inside of the drilled holes on the all-black panpipe with a Q-tip using black dye. That looks much better. I decided to use the tried and true original wood finish, which is polymerized linseed oil and beeswax. I have never used this finish before. The tried and true website says this finish is safe for food contact because they use polymerized linseed oil in their blends, which do not contain metallic dryers, solvents, or VOCs. Box. I taped cheesecloth to the dowel and applied a small amount of tried and true to the end. This allowed me to apply the finish inside of the drilled holes. I applied a thin, even coat across all sides of both panpipes. Applying finish inside of the drilled holes of the all-black panpipe. Applying a thin coat of finish on the all-black panpipe. I placed both panpipes on the wooden holder for over 1 hour to allow the finish to penetrate the wood. This step is 1 hour minimum. I am using a clean shop towel with no finish on it to clean the finish out of the drilled holes. Then rub the finish off with a lint-free cloth until the surface is completely dry. I placed the panpipes on the wooden holder and let cure for a minimum of 24 hours. The instructions say to burnish with a soft cloth or superfine 4/0 steel wool before every coat, even the first and the last. I am not a fan of using steel wool when it comes to finishing because it leaves metal shavings or fibers on anything you use it on. So I used the Scotch-Brite 7447 pad instead. The instructions say additional coats will deepen the shine and increase protection. Do not attempt to apply more than 3 coats. I am coating the drilled holes with finish for a second time. Putting on a second thin coat of finish on both panpipes. Then let dry for over 1 hour on the wooden holder. Clean finish out of the drilled holes for a second time with a clean towel with no finish on it. Wipe the finish off with a lint-free cloth until the surface is completely dry for the second time. You can see stain and finishes coming off the panpipe and being deposited on the paper shop towel. Rubbing and polishing more on a clean section of the shop towel is showing less dye coming off. Let the panpipes cure for another 24 hours or more on the wooden holder. After curing for over 24 hours, I buffed the panpipes with a soft white paper towel. The dye is not coming off of the panpipes now. I am extremely impressed with this finish. What do you think of how they turned out? Let me know in the comments below.